Hello, and welcome to this Ancestry Library Edition tutorial. I'm Kate, and this is Nancy, and if you love to solve mysteries and puzzles like we do, then you have what it takes to be your family history detective. And now is a very good time because Ancestry Library Edition is free for home access for the next 3 weeks. So let's get on the trail of our ancestors by looking at vital records. First, let's go to the library's databases. Here we are at balibrary.org, and you want to click on Databases. Then you want to click on Genealogy, which will bring you not only Ancestry, but our other genealogy databases. But for now, we're going to click on Ancestry Library Edition. And here's where you'll be asked to put in your library card number. Once you do that, you'll be taken to the main Ancestry Library Edition search page. And now Nancy will show you how to find vital records.
Okay, today we continue our search, our exploration of the Catlow family. Yesterday we looked at some great census records that provided us with just all kinds of information. We chose the Catlow family because they were prominent citizens in Barrington, and they were also early settlers. And we kind of love the Catlow Theater, landmark on Lake Cook Road in Barrington. And we discovered that the theater had been built by Wright Catlow in 1927. But we also discovered that the father, Joseph Catlow, had built a building in 1916 called the Auditorium, which was the first gathering place for Barrington residents. So that's why we started our exploration with Joseph. And today we're going to continue looking at Joseph's records, but looking at his vital records. So let me click on Begin Searching. And I'm going to put in Joseph Catlow, and we definitely know that he lived in Barrington, and Ancestry is going to give me a prompt pretty soon, and I'm going to choose Barrington, Cook, Illinois, USA. And we know he was born in 1853 from our census records yesterday. So let's do our search. And this time, when you see where it says all categories, we're going to skip our census because we've already looked at those records. And we're going to go into birth, marriage, and death. And I'm going to look at the marriage index because I'm very interested because he had two wives. He had a Mary and he had a Clara. And look at the first entry is our Mary in 1878, and of course she appeared in the 1880 census, so this is definitely our Joseph Goodyear Catlow. Beautiful record because it confirms exactly what we found in the census. Unfortunately, you're going to have to send away for this record. When we click on it, it's not going to give you much more information than what you see on the screen, so you would have to send away to Cook County for that. But we now know the name of his wife. Her maiden name was Mary Tribble. So that's excellent. I love it when records match. So now we're going to look for Clara. And boy, I sure don't see a Clara. We're getting far, far away from Illinois. So I'm guessing that maybe something was transcribed inaccurately. So Ancestry has provided us with a tool to help us in our search. So I'm going to go up here where it says Edit Search. Okay, since we didn't find Clara listed, only Mary, we're going to do what's called a wildcard search. Ancestry is very kind in providing us with a search like this because often records are transcribed incorrectly. And it's simply an asterisk that represents a group of letters. All right, so we knew that Joseph was born in 1853. We know that he got married in Illinois, because we don't know exactly where he might have married Clara. But we do know from the 1900 census that they had been married about 10 years. So that marriage must have occurred in about 1890. And we're going to fill in his wife's name as Clara and see if we can find anything. We'll hit our search button. And the second entry here, because we don't have a Joseph H, but we do have a Joseph G, married to a Clara B. Whitney. Look at this, in 1891, very, very close. We know that she was born in Illinois. And her last name here looks like it's Clara B. Whitney. So this might be our Clara. Unfortunately, it doesn't show us much more information than what we see on the screen. And I don't believe the record is available either. So, but you see how his name was transcribed incorrectly? It should have been Catlow, and instead it was Catton. So we're going to go with this as a hunch. We would still need further evidence to prove that this is definitely the right Clara. But at this point, I am going to go into the death records and see if anything else comes up. Back. And this time, let's edit our search and let's look for Joseph Catlow. And 1853, let's see. We know he lived in Barrington. And now we're given a choice, so we'll pick Cook. We don't necessarily have to put his marriage in, but we do know he was married to a Clara, so maybe that will help us. So let's continue our search. And this time, I'm going to go into birth, marriage, and death, and I'm going to go to death, burial, cemetery, and obituaries. All right, so we see that there are two records here. This one indicates Joseph Catlow came from England, 1852, close enough. He was born actually in 1853, but we'll take that. They show him dying in 1926. They're showing his mother's maiden name as Kitten. Pretty close. It's going to be something different. It's going to be Kitson, but that's pretty good. Let's look at the Find a Grave Index. Find a Grave is a great tool that Ancestry lets you link to. And we're going to link to that right now. Again, it's showing us the same basic information. He was born in 1853. He died in 1926. He's buried in Evergreen Cemetery, which makes sense. A big cemetery in downtown Barrington. It gives us the name of his parents, John Catlow and Elizabeth Catlow. So let's actually click on this record to see what we can find out. All right. It also, in addition, gives us the names of some of his children, not all of them, but some of them. And this first child here, we will learn later, that was actually with his wife, Mary. So let's go to the website. Okay, here's his tombstone. It says he's the son of John Catlow, if we had any doubts. It gives us his date of death, December 23rd, right before the holidays. He didn't live to see the Catlow Theater open in 1927, but he was pretty close. Now, isn't this interesting? It says he was the husband of Mary Treble, who predeceased him. Following her death, Joseph was married for a second time to Clara Whitney. I mean, that house, perfect. How perfect would you get? I mean, that's exactly what our census records show. So our wildcard search was accurate. Clara Whitney, that was the name we came up with. So that's another beautiful find. It tells us Joseph's family members, John, his father, Elizabeth, his mother. If we clicked on this, it would show that they are buried in Cady Cemetery in Inverness, nearby. And both of his wives, Mary Treble. And if we look at Mary's grave marker, it shows she's the daughter of F. Treble. Now, this is a clue for some of you looking for Mary Treble's family, because that F would clue you in that her father's name started with F. So maybe Frank, Frederick, who knows, but it's got to be an F. And it gives the name of one of her children, but she actually had 3 with Joseph. And, of course, her spouse. Let's go back to Joseph again. And this time we'll look at his other wife, Clarissa Whitney Catlow, which our wildcard search brought up. And it says now she is the daughter of J. Whitney, all right? So father's name was J. Whitney. It gives us the date of her birth and when she died. She died a year before Joseph. This one, it actually gives us the complete names of her parents. So Joseph Chase and Mary Jane Delano Whitney. We even have a maiden name there. Beautiful, beautiful records. So Find a Grave is becoming more and more resourceful because people are adding these wonderful biographies to them, and they're linking them to other people in the family, their grave sites. So a wonderful resource. Always keep that in mind. At this point, I am going to stop sharing my screen and turn it over to Kate.
All right. Well, up to now, we have been pretty lucky finding all these records in Ancestry, but sometimes the information just isn't there, which is when we have to go to our other genealogy databases. Since Nancy and I were interested in the Catlow family because of the theater, we wanted to find a birth record for Wright Catlow, and I couldn't find it in Ancestry. So I turned to FamilySearch.org, which is another resource for genealogy information. And I did find a record of his birth, but it would be something I'd have to order from the clerk's office because the actual record is not online. But I can show you what it looks like. And you'll see that his birth date is listed as May 28th, 1901, which in the previous census session, we learned from the census it was about 1901, 1902. And we can see here that it is correct. It is Joseph Goodyear Catlow and Clara Whitney's child. And we find that the certificate number is 49655, which we can send away to the clerk's office and get a copy of this birth certificate now. Once you found the vital records, you can start looking for births, marriages, and obituaries in the local papers. For us, that would be the Barrington Courier Review, which we have back to 1890. Let's take a look at a couple of those. Here is Wright Catlow's obituary. And then also in that same paper, there is quite an extensive article about him and the theater. There is also a wedding announcement for Joseph G. Catlow and Miss Clara Whitney, and they got married in Lake Zurich on January 28th, 1891. And lastly, we happen to have in our collection a photo of the original auditorium built by Joseph Catlow. These are just some of the things that you can find in a local newspaper. They're remarkable resources for genealogy research. As we've seen, Ancestry Library Edition can be a great source of vital records and will help you further your research. We've also seen that not everything is online, but now you're well on your way to finding your family. If you have any questions, please email me at kmills@balibrary.org. Thank you, and have fun finding your family.